Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, an in-depth analysis. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the wildest and most environmentally charged entries in the Godzilla franchise. Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, also known in Japan as Godzilla vs. Hedorah. But first, let's roll that epic montage. Now that we're all hyped up, here's what's on the menu for today. We'll kick things off with some background on the film and its place in the Godzilla saga. Then, we'll recap the plot, in all its bizarre glory. After that, we'll dive into the themes and messages that make this film so unique. And finally, we'll look at its cultural impact and why it still matters today. Background of the film. First off, let's set the scene. By 1971, the Godzilla franchise had been stomping around for nearly 2 decades. From his debut in 1954 as a terrifying symbol of nuclear devastation, Godzilla had evolved, literally and figuratively. In the earlier films, Godzilla was the villain, a massive force of nature wreaking havoc. But over time, he became more of an anti-hero, sometimes even a protector of Earth. Talk about character development, huh? Let's zoom in on Japan in the early 70s. The country was experiencing rapid economic growth, companies were booming, industries were expanding, and cities were getting bigger. Sounds great, right? Well, not entirely. This industrial boom came with a nasty side effect: pollution. Enter Yoshimitsu Banno, the director who decided to tackle these issues head-on. Inspired by the environmental movements of the time and the visible pollution affecting Japan, Banno wanted to create a Godzilla film that was more than just monster mayhem. He aimed to deliver a message, a wake-up call about the dangers of pollution. Plot summary. The rise of Hedorah. The movie kicks off with this alien tadpole-like creature named Hedorah hitching a ride to Earth on a comet. Once it lands, it feeds on all the pollution in our oceans, growing bigger and more menacing. It's basically pollution personified, or monster-fied, if you will. Godzilla's intervention. Godzilla senses that something's amiss. Maybe he smelled the stink, or maybe he just has a sixth sense for other giant monsters trashing his turf. Either way, Godzilla rises from the deep to confront Hedorah. Escalation of the conflict. But Hedorah isn't just any monster. It keeps evolving, going from aquatic forms to a land-walking sludge beast, and eventually gaining the ability to fly. Yeah, a flying smog monster. Things escalate quickly as Hedorah starts decimating cities, spreading toxic gas, and leaving destruction in its wake. Human element. Meanwhile, we've got our human protagonists. A scientist named Dr. Yano, his son Ken, who's a huge Godzilla fanboy, and a few other characters trying to figure out how to stop this walking pollution disaster. They represent humanity's last hope, as usual. Climactic battle. The final showdown takes place on the slopes of Mount Fuji. It's an epic clash. Godzilla throws everything he's got at Hedorah, but the smog monster is tough. The humans devise a plan to construct giant electrodes to dry out Hedorah, exploiting its weakness to dehydration. In a tag-team effort between Godzilla and the humans, they manage to dry out Hedorah. But wait, Hedorah tries to escape. Not on Godzilla's watch. He uses his atomic breath to reactivate the electrodes and finishes off Hedorah once and for all. Talk about teamwork. Resolution. As the dust settles, Godzilla stares down the humans, almost as if warning them. The message is clear. Clean up your act, or there might be worse things than Hedorah next time. Then, Godzilla heads back to the sea, and we're left contemplating the environmental mess we've made. Themes and analysis. Environmental advocacy. Godzilla vs. Hedorah is not subtle about its message. Hedorah is a living embodiment of pollution. The film shows grim images of environmental destruction, dead fish, polluted skies, and sick people. It's a stark reminder of what unchecked industrialization can lead to. Shift in Godzilla's character. This movie cements Godzilla's role as Earth's protector. Instead of being a metaphor for nuclear annihilation, he becomes nature's champion, fighting against man-made threats. It's a significant shift and adds layers to his character. Visual and stylistic choices. Director Banno didn't hold back on the visuals. The film has psychedelic sequences, weird animations, and trippy effects that were quite experimental for the time. It's like a Godzilla movie on acid. These choices amplify the surreal and urgent tone of the film. Social commentary. Beyond the environmental angle, the film critiques society's apathy. The scenes of people partying while Hedorah wreaks havoc symbolize how oblivious we can be to the problems around us. It's a call to action, to wake up before it's too late. Production insights. Challenges faced during filming. The budget was tight, which meant the team had to get creative. The special effects team used all sorts of practical effects to bring Hedorah to life: slime, smoke, and clever suit designs. The transformation sequences were particularly tricky to pull off. Music and sound design. The soundtrack is a wild mix. You've got traditional orchestral pieces mixed with rock and psychedelic tunes. The theme song, Save the Earth, originally, Give Back the Sun, is catchy and haunting. The music enhances the eerie vibe and urgency of the film's message. Audience reception at release. When the movie was released, reactions were mixed, to say the least. Some fans appreciated the bold direction and heavy themes. Others were thrown off by its departure from the classic Godzilla formula. At the box office, it didn't perform as well as previous entries, but it definitely made an impact. Cultural impact and legacy. Influence on future Godzilla films. The environmental themes introduced here resurfaced in later Godzilla movies. The idea of Godzilla as a protector against ecological threats became a recurring motif, influencing the direction of the franchise. Hedorah's role in pop culture. Hedorah became a cult favorite. The Smog monster has appeared in video games, comics, and even had cameos in other Godzilla media. Fans appreciate Hedorah for its unique design and the stark warning it represents. Relevance to modern audiences. Fast forward to today, and the film's message is more relevant than ever. With climate change and pollution still pressing issues, Godzilla vs. Hedorah feels oddly prophetic. It's gaining renewed interest as viewers draw parallels between the film and our current environmental challenges. Critical reassessment. Modern critical opinions. These days, many critics and fans look back on Godzilla vs. Hedorah with a newfound appreciation. Its bold themes, experimental visuals, and willingness to tackle serious issues stand out in the franchise. Significance in the genre. Compared to other kaiju films, this one is unique. It combines monster action with a strong moral message. It pushes the boundaries of what a kaiju film can be, cementing its place in science fiction cinema history. Fun facts and trivia. Behind-the-scenes stories. Director Banno initially planned to make a direct sequel featuring Hedorah, but due to the mixed reactions, those plans were scrapped. The suit actor for Godzilla, Haruo Nakajima, almost suffocated during the scene where Godzilla falls into a pit set by Hedorah. Alternate versions and edits. The international version of the film had some differences, including changes to the soundtrack and certain scenes being edited for clarity, or to tone down the weirdness. Planned sequels and projects. There were ideas floating around for Hedorah to return in future films, but they never materialized. However, Hedorah did make a cameo in Godzilla: Final Wars, 2004, much to fans' delight. Conclusion. Recap of key points. So, there you have it. Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster is more than just a monster flick. It's a bold statement on environmental issues that were ahead of its time. From its creative visuals to its heavy themes, it's a film that leaves a lasting impression. Personal reflection. Personally, I think the film is a hidden gem. Sure, it's a bit out there, and it doesn't stick to the traditional Godzilla formula, but that's what makes it special. Its message is just as important today as it was back then. Call to action. If you haven't seen it yet, or if it's been a while, give Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster another watch. Trust me, it's worth it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you think of the film? Did its message resonate with you? Drop your comments below. Closing statements. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today and nerding out over Godzilla. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. We've got more awesome content coming up, including retrospectives on other classic kaiju films and their impact on pop culture. So stay tuned. Until next time, keep it real, take care of our planet, and remember, even giant monsters can teach us valuable lessons. Thanks again, and see you in the next video.